Do Greg Judy's methods always work? Hey guys, welcome back to Dexter Ranch. Wanted to make a video today in response to some comments that I've gotten on different videos on my channel, leading me or directing me to go and check out Greg Judy's YouTube channel and do things the way that he does them on his farm. I ask you guys for your comments and your feedback and your ideas almost in every video I make, and I'm grateful that at least some of you do leave your ideas and your comments and thoughts. But if I'm never to respond and you don't see me doing the things that you recommended that I do, then it kind of looks like I'm just not taking your advice. So this video is not at all to try to say that Greg Judy doesn't know what he's talking about or anything like that. That's not what I'm doing here. What I'm doing is trying to point out some of the differences between a 1,200 acre ranch like what Greg Judy runs and a 20 acre ranch like what Dexter Ranch is. Because you can't just take the methods that work on a farm like that and apply them to a small piece of land like this and expect for it to work. And it's not just about the size of the land, it's several different variables that make his methods not the best thing for me here at Dexter Ranch. So some of the differences between his farm and mine are, one, that is his career. That is his main source of income, and that's how he takes care of his family. Now, when you're talking about a farm like Dexter Ranch, a sub 20 acre farm, I would say probably 9.9 times out of 10, the person that's running that ranch is not relying on that farm for their main source of income. It's just really hard to get to a point to where you can support an entire family on a 20 acre farm. I'd love to figure out how to do it, and I intend on trying, but at this point, for me at least, it's not my main source of income. And the amount of money that's being made here is not an amount of money that would support me putting a lot of my time into it on a daily basis. The only way that I'm able to stay profitable here is if I structure things to a point to where my input is very limited. Now, there is some initial setup and cost and things like that, but I'm not necessarily talking about those. I'm talking about my daily input, what I would be writing down for my labor costs. The fact is that you have to calculate that time that you're putting into your farm when you're calculating whether or not you're making money. You can't just look at this as, well, it's at my house, so I don't need to calculate the time that I put into it. You do. With any business, you need to have a labor cost in there when you're calculating your profits. And if you guys haven't seen my video yet that I made called Dexter Cow-Calf Profits, I'll link that down below. But in that video, I made an itemized list of all of the costs that it takes me to create a Dexter calf here on Dexter Ranch. And by far, the highest ticket item on that list was my labor. And it was only calculated at 20 minutes per day. And if you go back, like I said, and watch that video, you will see that if I was to even change it to 40 minutes per day, that I would at that point become unprofitable. So I'm just telling you that to kind of emphasize how fine of a line is being walked before you become unprofitable because of labor inputs. So that brings me to talking about a few of the things that, or a couple of things that Greg Judy does on his farm. One of which would be unrolling hay on pasture. Now the reason that he does this is because he has 200 cows and they're coming up and eating that entire bale in one day, and then whatever's left behind just goes right back into the ground, and the nutrients in that improves his soil. And it's really smart for his situation. But if we were to look at it from a farm like this, then that bale of hay would be laying out on pasture for 6 to 8 days. because that's how long it takes my cows to go through a bale. And in that time, it would be getting defecated on, urinated on, used as bedding, so on and so forth. The weather, the wind, rain, snow, sleet would all damage the hay, and the amount of waste that would come out of that would just be unmanageable. So for that reason alone, it really doesn't work. But the next thing that somebody would say would be, well, then don't unroll the whole thing. And that leads back to the first problem that I was talking about, which is if you don't unroll the whole thing and you're going to take it back off of the pasture every day, then that puts you getting some piece of equipment and a trailer and going back out on pasture every single day to unroll a little bit more. And this is just not something that, like I said, is able to be performed with the very small amount of money that's being made here, if I'm to be honest with myself when I'm calculating whether or not I'm making money. Not only that, with the property being such a small piece of land, if I was to go out there with a tractor or a truck or a four-wheeler or whatever I'm pulling this trailer with on a daily basis, I would end up running over the same piece of land an amount of times that would ultimately damage the land more than the hay that's getting laid out there would improve it. So it seems counterproductive no matter how I look at it. Another thing that Greg Judy's pretty well known for doing is he does mob grazing or rotational grazing, which I think that there's a lot of benefit in that. But once again, with this particular situation and what I think a lot of people that own farms this size are in, it would once again be a big time commitment, a big labor cost, where your sales just could not overcome that if you were to do it like he does it on a daily basis. Now, I do think that it is worth setting up maybe 4 paddocks on a farm this size and doing a rotation on the weekends to where they go to a new 5-acre paddock every weekend. But anything outside of that, it's going to, once again, eat into the amount of time available and eat into the profits by committing your time on a daily basis. Like I said, on that list, I put 20 minutes. The reality here at Dexter Ranch is that I don't spend 20 minutes a day. There's a lot of days that go by that I don't spend any time at all with the cows. I might walk out and see how everybody's doing, but that's it. I don't have a scheduled thing that I have to do on a daily basis. I bring them a bale of hay once a week, and I have automatic water set up. And unless somebody gets sick or there's a problem, I have not committed my time to these cattle. And until you can grow the business to a point to where it makes sense to do that, my suggestion or recommendation for people in a similar situation as what I'm in is to structure your farm and structure your chores in a way that you are not committing yourself on a daily basis. There's just no way to justify it unless you're going to take your labor rate down to like $10 an hour or something, which anybody that owns their own business should not be trying to make $10 an hour. I just wanted to get on here, like I said, and make a response so that you guys can see the reality of a situation on a farm this size. And also, hopefully, the people that are coming to my channel for looking for advice or a way to do something, hopefully this makes sense to you. And hopefully I can encourage some people to make sure they're focusing on their goals and not just dumping money into something like this, because ultimately what's going to happen is at some point when you start being honest about the amount of time that you're putting into it and you accept the fact that by doing so you're not making any money, you're ultimately going to get burnt out and end up not wanting to do it anymore. So it's pretty important that we keep that, we stay aware of that, and we keep ourselves profitable in order to continue doing this. So that's my 2 cents and my response to the Greg Judy thing. Like I said, this video was not at all to say that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Everything that he's doing is really good, and if you own a 1,200 acre ranch, I would recommend going and copying exactly what he's doing, because he's doing great stuff. But unfortunately, his methods do not always make sense in a situation similar to mine. So hopefully you guys liked the video. Hopefully you took something out of it. Once again, leave your comments and thoughts down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about what I've said in this video. If you liked the video, hit the like button. And if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing to Dexter Ranch. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.